So today we are doing capture more leads. All right, just a little telemarketing TCPA disclaimer that we have to show for every single class. Make sure that you are running all of your numbers through the do not call list. And these materials are examples or provide information purposes only. They're not guaranteed to predict prediction of performance, sales, or profits. And AI disclaimer, make sure that you're double checking all AI as you should be reviewing for accuracy and reliability because AI does not necessarily stay compliant with fair housing and everything else, blah, 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 copyright materials, and we're on to it. Okay, so today we are doing capture more leads. Okay, so today's agenda, today we are covering the topic of capture more leads in our segment on lead generation. So far in Ignite, you've been making contact with your sphere, those people that you know and who know you. In this session, we are going to think a little bit outside the box, and we're going to look at other sources of leads. There are methods for meeting new people, getting to know them, and having them know you. All right, so we're going to talk about systems at work, prospecting versus marketing, gold mine of referrals, more sources, and capture every lead. All right. So you love people, but at the same time, you haven't yet learned to love hunting them for them. This is from the Shift book. So this is about learning to love lead generation, the hunt for people who are able, ready, and willing to buy or sell real estate now or soon. In this session, you'll learn more sources for leads so you'll never run out and you will love hunting. So our objectives today are we are going to gain a deeper understanding of how to create and disseminate lead generating messages. And we're going to be able to expand your referral strategies. By the end of this session, you'll choose your top 4 lead generation sources and lay out strategies and timeline to generate leads from those sources. All right. Okay, we're going to start talking about systems that work. Your number one job is to find ways to get in the path of motivated buyers or sellers. It's always smart to be reminded of our number one job as real estate agents. It's lead generation. Without leads, we don't have sales, therefore no business. We're in the business of lead generation. So I drew this little thing earlier. I was kind of waiting. And you have to think about leads as a funnel, right? And I'm sure you've seen this before. But the end of mine right here is the money, right? Got a little dollar sign down here. And to get to the money, we got to have a closing. We have to have something under contract. You have to have a commitment. You have to have appointments. The reality is that you have to think about it as a funnel, and we have to continuously feed this funnel with leads in order to get down here. Too much time, new agents specifically focus on this part, and they're not focusing on this part up here. So we have to think about leads, and these arrows kind of represent all the different avenues of how we generate leads and feed into this funnel. And then you worry about this stuff later, because this doesn't happen without the top, right? Too many people focus on the end in mind. You got to think about up here at the top, right? All right. You what? Say it again. Well, what happens is when people are learning real estate, they focus a lot because these are all skills down here, right? So they focus on, their buyer presentation or their listing presentation or, the fancy signs or, they just focus a lot on this, like setting, like creating their skills because there's a skill in closing an appointment, right? And there's a skill with your buyer presentation. But the reality is that some people hide in developing these skills and they don't focus on the basics, and that's generating the leads, right? So as you're new to real estate, I'd rather run into a situation where you run in like, oh my gosh, I have an appointment. I set an appointment for tomorrow. I don't have anything. Okay, that's a good problem to have. Now we can sit down and start talking about that presentation and that conversation that you're going to have with your potential seller or buyer. But the reality is people focus too much on these skill sets at the beginning that they're not focusing on generating leads. Okay. This stuff you can do outside, but like lead generation, 2 hours a day minimum. Okay. This other stuff you can do outside of it, but we can't forget the most important part. Okay. I'm gonna hide this. Okay. So the 2 Ms of lead generation, message and method. This slide depicts a system to help make your lead generation more purposeful. We call this the message and method of your lead generation. It's about having a message and using a method to drive that message to desired audience. Okay. So one, the message must match your market and it must make an offer for immediate response. So match the market by tailoring the intended message to the sentiments and market conditions of a target group in the area which you operate. And then you have to have a call to action that can be direct. So call me now, or indirect. Look at my website to learn more information. What could be an offer that would generate a response? What would make your phone ring or generate immediate responses to text or in social media? So what could that be? I mean, I'm sure you see it on social media or in emails. What would be your message to make an offer for immediate response? Yeah. You put like say there's a listing or you share another listing of another agent, call me for more information or things. So they gave some examples. So this awesome house just came on the market. If you're looking for a home in this neighborhood, call me right away. Okay. Interest rates are at the lowest ever. If you're considering buying now or thinking about refinancing, I can put you in touch with lenders who can work with you. Okay. So that's encouraging people to call. Do you know about the prices of homes in your neighborhood or any area of town? I've got just a report for you. Call, text, or visit my website to sign up. Okay. So it's creating a message that embedded in the message is an actual item, like call me. It's called a MOFR. So it's immediate response. Okay. All right. So now we want to talk about the method. There are 2 primary methods of getting your message out to your target group. So this is prospecting and marketing, which we covered earlier at the beginning of lead generation, which we'll dig really into prospecting and marketing today. Okay. All right. Leads are everywhere. When you are truly on the hunt for leads, you will find many opportunities. All right. So we're going to give an example. So say you're at a coffee shop and you overhear a couple talking about an open house they just visited. What should you do? First, approach with a conversation starter. All right. So we're on here in this graph. So we're going to approach with a conversation starter. I overheard you talking about an open house. Are you looking for a home in this area? Okay. Second, we're going to connect. Connect with the individuals in a way that builds rapport and trust. One of the best ways is with questions. Look for opportunities to be of service to them. I have a list of homes for sale in this area. I'd love to connect with you so you can stay informed on what comes on the market. And then finally, ask, if appropriate, ask to meet with them to learn more about their situation. Okay, so leads are everywhere. You have to constantly be aware of your surroundings. You have to constantly be aware of your conversations that are around you. And don't be afraid to approach people. That's probably the hardest part, right? Yeah, like dipping in my Kool-Aid. I get it, that's the hardest part. But if you can approach and then connect with them by delivering value, it's going to make it so much easier. It says also don't forget to apply the Ford method to connect with somebody and deepen the relationship. So do you remember what Ford stands for? I wrote it. Yeah, yeah. It's not in command. I mean, so we talked about this when we did orientation. It's really important when you're having these conversations. Obviously, you want to get their data, right? So their phone numbers, their emails, their home address, their birthdays, anniversaries. While you're getting that information, you can touch on these things, and there's systems in command where you can update it, so you can know where they work, right? You can know relationships in there. You can make notes, or you can connect with them as far as their spouses within command. So yeah, command helps you kind of keep that information in there so you can um, review it. But yeah, this is when you're having conversations with people, you want to bring up. So let's break this down, right? So when you bring up family in a conversation, you can pick out pain points, right? So you have someone like a pain point could be, okay, you're having a conversation with somebody and they're pregnant, right? That pain point might be in that family dynamic. Maybe their house is too small. They're about to bring in another child into the house. Maybe they need a house, so you can recognize, where they're at in their family. They may have a need. Okay. Maybe when having the discussion about family, they're sending their last kid off to college. This person might be in the next year or so looking to downsize. Okay. Family also, it doesn't always bring up the happy things. Maybe going through divorce, so you have to pick out from Ford what's going on. Occupation. Maybe they're working and they have to drive 45 minutes to their job. Maybe that's a pain point. Okay. Back to, we talked about recreation. We talked about this in the database when you're kind of looking at segmenting your database based on tags. Recreation is huge. People want to be close to things that they have, like golf. Golf is the easiest one, um, or they want to be closer to parks where they can go out and walk their dog, or, so you can look at what their personal interests are and tie it into real estate. And then their dreams. Dreams financially could be, they want to purchase an investment property. A lot of their dreams are around life situations too. So go back to like empty nesters, and maybe they want to move somewhere that's going to support a retirement lifestyle, right? So if you center your conversations around Ford, everything organically comes out, right? Okay. All right. So we are going to dig into prospecting versus marketing. So lead generation is a contact sport with simple rules. It means making contact with people through prospecting and marketing. So every conversation that you have with a potential lead or a family member, somebody in your sphere, relationships, they fall on this graph at some point. Okay. So everyone, it's cyclical. So everyone on this graph, if they own their home, they're looking to buy or sell within 7 to 10 years. People on average move. Okay. So everyone you know and every lead you prospect is somewhere on this graph. The question is, are they at the top, the bottom, or somewhere in between? Everyone's timelines and life experiences are different. It's your job to do your best to predict where they are always. So if you're only prospect leads that are on their way up, so the question is, do you only prospect leads on their way up? No. Every lead that you catch and build a relationship with is a potential buyer or seller at some point. You're building a business, right? Real estate is not a short-term game, long-term marathon. You will run into people that fall in every aspect of this graph. So now we have to look at my message, and I'm jumping ahead. Message to someone who might be here at the bottom is going to be different. My message to somebody at the top. This is a long term. You have conversations. This is where tags come into place. This is where you have to be able to systematically communicate to different your message to different markets within your database. All right. So who do we prospect for and when? And it's everyone at every time. So excuse me, cough, man. Okay, so this image here. Saw this in session 5, and here it is again to remind you of the 2 methods for lead generating, prospecting and marketing, and that your business should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. Okay? That's a very important because a lot of people get into this business. One, they don't focus on generating leads and they don't call their sphere people. It's crazy to me. They don't call the people they already have permission to have a 2-way conversation with. Okay. Prospecting, it takes a lot of time, right? But it's a proactive method. You're the one calling your sphere, you're the one calling people in your database, but you're going to get immediate results with that. And also, the key thing, it doesn't cost money to call people in your database. Okay. So you think about it as a triangle. You think about the prospecting as that large base that gives you the prospecting gives you stability at the bottom. Okay. And then your marketing is going to enhance and remind people in your database that you're in real estate, right? So think of it this way, like there's obviously different aspects of marketing. Okay. But when you're prospecting, you're calling people in your database, it gives you that solid base. Then you enhance those conversations that you're already having with your marketing by reminding people that you're in real estate, and you become that you're top of mind for everyone in your database, and that enhances it through marketing. Okay. Marketing costs money sometimes. It's going to give you long-term results, and it's passive. It's not that direct conversation with somebody. You're just kind of putting it out there, right? Right. So that's generating your leads, and you're going to have conversations with people at different points in their buying process, but the immediate results doesn't necessarily mean immediate closings. Immediate results is because you're generating leads. This is all about generating leads. This isn't about generating closings. Okay. So we're back up here at the top. When you're prospecting and having conversations with people, you're generating leads this way. That's your immediate result, is that we're getting them into leads. And we talked about this earlier this week with database. Okay. You generate leads and you change them into contacts. So I should actually add up here on this funnel is moving them from leads into contacts. And that's what we talked about in the database. Okay. So right now we're just focusing on generating leads through either prospecting or marketing. The immediate results will be calling people in your database. We're going to talk a lot. We're going to break it down in this. Calling people in your database, asking them for referrals. That's going to give you an immediate response where we're going to be feeding our leads. Okay. The marketing is long-term to generate leads. Okay. And it's not an immediate result. So an example of the marketing would be, I send out a flyer to everyone in a neighborhood where I'm farming, right? Out of all those aren't necessarily leads. I'm just sending out a flyer. The leads that come in are going to be someone who gets that flyer and scans the QR code and possibly connects with you. So you can see how that that costs money to send out the flyer. It's passive because I'm not directly reaching out to them. I'm hoping that they're going to scan a piece of paper that was sent to them in the mail that has really no quantitative return on investment because you don't know how many people are actually physically looking at it, right? And then it's long-term results because it's not necessarily, the first time you send out that card. It might be the second time that you generate that card. So what it's saying is that prospecting gives you that immediate result for a potential lead. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk breaking down different ideas around prospecting. All right. So here are some ideas for prospecting. Let's read through these, okay? So phone or face-to-face. All right. So listings without agency. So this is an idea. Prospecting could be calling for sale by owners. Could be calling expired listings. Okay, so that's listings without agency. Second one is circle prospecting. So you're going to look in a neighborhood. You're going to reach out to apartment complexes. You're going to call on recently sold listings and then recently listed properties, utilizing circle prospecting. So you've got an area where they have a new listing. You have a new listing. Maybe someone has a listing in the office and you start hitting that neighborhood and having conversations around that potential new listing. Community outreach through charities, volunteer work. Key relationships, okay? Corporations, builders, banks. Calling lenders, calling allied partners. Reaching out to big businesses, corporations in the area, see if anyone's moving in. Builders, it's always great to connect with builders. Fisher Homes, MI Homes, all those places. Okay. Third-party data companies, that's going to potentially involve referrals, connecting with investors, teaching and speaking opportunities. One of the things that a lot of agents do are first-time homebuyer seminars. Getting people in. I have a couple agents who teach financial literacy classes, and they try to help build wealth with a community where they're not necessarily going in to teach to sell them a home. They're teaching because one, they have the information. They're becoming a trusted source for real estate and financial wealth building. And then long-term, they could potentially create, relationships that go outside of just that class. Meals, going out, eating, having conversations, prospecting that way, door-to-door canvassing, networking events, booths, kiosks, walk-ins. So these are all examples of prospecting. So one thing that's not on this is social media prospecting. So not social media advertising, but You can connect with people through social media, replying to their posts, direct messaging through social media. So that's something you want to make sure you add on here for prospecting. How do you think it's best to approach prospecting? Do you think it would be best to select several sources to try at once? Or is there a source that would be best to start out with and follow it through? Huh? Several? Well, just think about when you think about several, how much time, because it kind of gets back to that this is labor and time, like it's time. It takes a lot of time with prospecting, time sensitive. How much time can you commit to fully doing several?
So like a phone call, I think maybe, I think a phone call is one. So I think that I would go that because they
So I'm gonna just stop you right there real quick. So prospecting and lead sources, you really want to look at like four and master it, right? Because you can really only fully commit to an X amount of prospecting lead sources before you just completely wear yourself out, right? And so your top agents will actually really three, but the book says four because the top one should be your sphere of influence. Okay. And that's, like you said, making your phone calls and calling through your database and calling through every single person that you already have permission to have a two-way conversation with. Like some of your top agents, they'll tell you 90% of their business just comes from your sphere. Right. And so,
so hard to believe, I guess.
I,
I don't know. I think it's because we know the people that are like the situation, most of the situations. Also, we know their mindset, how you think it's how to find seven. So, well, for me, anyway, so it's like I feel like
but what you do, it's not that you necessarily sell a home to every person that's in your sphere. You become the realtor of choice for everyone that's in your sphere so that you train them when they're out and having conversations with other people that may not be directly in your sphere. And we're going to talk about it's referrals, that when they overhear a conversation in relationship to real estate, that they immediately like, oh, Erica Brown, best real estate agent. Let me connect you with her. Okay. So it's not that you're going to necessarily sell a home to every single person that's in your sphere. It's the fact that you are their realtor of choice and they will help you build leads. So again, we're talking about leads right now. We're not talking about transactions. Okay. And so your sphere, your SOI, okay, in conversations, and I'm jumping ahead on this, they are going to refer you. Okay. Hey, Brian, question for you. Looking at your business makeup, looking at your leads that you've generated, what is your number one lead source? Yeah. Database. Mm-hmm.
It could be wrong contact. You don't have to follow up. People I already.
And it's not that you're necessarily selling a house to the people you know. It's
No,
your
I'm just intentional with what I say to them when I have the opportunity to talk to them. So I'm trying to follow up if you not Brian real estate guy. At the end of the conversation, I always just I like I'm a jokester.
you're their realtor of choice. And so when they're out and about and they hear other people looking to buy or sell, they have been trained to say,
And then specifically, like when I talk to them now, I'm not just a real estate agent, I am a real estate guy. You need a window fix, call me. I got, like, I'm building out a list of people that I know, like, and trust, that when people call me as the real estate guy, instead of just to buy and sell, because that happens rarely, you know, it's every years or so for the average person. But you know that those people are here, people will be public, and you want to create great. So, like, you know, so that you don't have to work hard, but you have advocates out there that are selling you for you, but you're not. And with creating a raving fan, it's simple, right? Set really clear expectations and then just do what you said. But if you set an expectation out and make it really clear, hey, here's what I'm going to do for you. We're going to blah, blah, blah. Just make sure you follow through with it. That's it. That's how you create raving fans.
thank you, Brian. And he mentioned 2 other lead sources just now. He does social media, and then he has ISAs that, so he has leads that are generated and he's working on converting them into contacts. So his sphere and database, his sphere is part of his database, but he has people in there that he doesn't necessarily have permission to have that 2-way conversation with, and he's converting them into actual contacts. And I know that he calls FISBOs, internal sales associate. So it's just somebody that like calls. Yeah. So he has a team. Yep. But and he didn't mention this, but I guarantee he calls FISBOs and expires. So you have to look at, look at your strategies. And I think I'm jumping ahead. So we'll kind of break that down a little bit more. So we talked about your sphere. Sphere is always where you start with. What are some things that pop off on this list that you may be interested in pursuing? Knowing that you probably time-wise can't pursue every single one of them. But what are some of the ones that kind of come off of this list that you'd be like, okay, I could pursue that and do it at a high level in regard to prospecting? Okay.
I would like to try relationships. I never thought of that would be it's going through some of those.
Well, specifically with lenders. I mean, they get a lot of people. Making a lender partnership is huge, because what happens with that, and I'll introduce you to Craig Davis before you go, if you haven't met him already, is that a lot of leads come into lenders before they even have a real estate agent.
Yeah, I was actually told that before when I wanted to look into the process of having a house. I was always told to go to.
Yeah. So they have organic leads. You build that partnership, but you also have to, it has to be reciprocal. Like you have to send them leads too. But building a partnership with a lender is huge, because they can, those conversations that you can have with a lender and their understanding of that side of real estate only educates you further to have those conversations with your sphere and prospects. So that's good. Okay. So we talked about community outreach, talked about key relationships. We've got our sphere. What's something else on here that kind of jumps out at you? Teaching, yeah.
Well, actually, no. Several prospects, because I think that is the good way, because you already have something to go off of. So you know that's an area where
Movement.
coming in. So I think that's kind of like it's hard.
Mhm.
It's hard.
Well, and you can somewhat tie in your community outreach with circle prospecting. Because you can be the realtor of choice for the community that you already live in. Right? So you can look at how you could give back to your community. You can look at, possibly tying in your community outreach when you door knock or you walk around a neighborhood, or if there's an event in that neighborhood. I always give an example where I live Deer Park. We do this huge Days in Deer Park event. And it's a huge opportunity to network with thousands of people that live in Deer Park. And you can also tie in possible charity work with those bigger events too. And that's a way to just kind of meet people. I mean, it just comes down to relationships.
Yeah.
Every aspect is building relationships. Right. That's what this industry is. It's 100% relationships. Yeah. And you just have to think about the different strategies within prospecting that's going to fit with you and your lifestyle and your business, and it works for you. And then what you do is you only have those 3 or 4 prospecting, and you do it at a high level. You can't really do all of this at a high level. It's just too much, right? Excuse me.
So, like for yourself, did you have to try a couple out before you figured out what your type of work for you, or did you just kind of naturally just like your 3 years?
Well, you got to try. Like like you have to try, and it may not. All these may not work for you, or some of these may not work for you. You start 100% of the time with your sphere of influence, okay? And have those conversations, and you ask the question, and Brian asked, like you talk about your forward here, and then at the end of that conversation, where they're at on that graph, where they're, they may not be interested in buying or selling anytime soon, but you ask them that question, thank them for the time that they took to talk to you, and then you ask them, who do you know that might be interested in buying or selling real estate? And they're going to say like, oh, I don't know anyone. Okay. Next time you have that conversation with that same person, at the end of that conversation, oh, thank you so much for talking. Hey, who do you know that might be interested in buying or selling? They may not know anyone. That third time that you have that conversation with them, they're ready for that question at the end. And they're going to say, oh, I'm so glad you asked me because I've been thinking about it. And Sue Ellen and Cubicle, whatever down the hall from me, was talking about it at lunch the other day. Oh, that's great. Do you think I could call? Do you think it'd be okay for me to call Sue? And then you kind of go from there. So that goes into the training your sphere to advocate because you're their realtor of choice. You're creating raving fans through that. Okay. So we've got our sphere, we're talking to our sphere, and now we're going to do some charity outreach and organizations. I think I 100% advocate for that. I think it's so important to bring nonprofit charity giving back to the community and to any business. I mean, outside of real estate. Okay. And then you had talked about, possibly key relationships. Okay. Make that connection with your lender. Okay. And then we talked about circle prospecting, right? So getting granular with that would probably be door knocking. I think that would be a great opportunity. Door knocking itself is circle prospecting. And I think it should be open houses. As a new agent, you're not going to have a listing right away. But there are so many agents in our office that have open house opportunities that you can host an open house. And leading up to that open house is when you go door knocking. You door knock for the open house and invite people. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about marketing. So this session is about additional prospecting sources to think about and focus on. Here is a list of marketing sources for comparison. Obviously, again, this is based on the MREA. Social media is not on here, but it should be. You can quickly understand that marketing is related expenses and may take longer to see results. I see this again, where people try to jump down the line and they immediately, instead of organically getting leads, they go out and they buy leads. I had an agent, I'll never forget this. He was a license, like he had been licensed for a while and he wanted to turn up his volume, his sales volume. He was not doing this at a high level. So what he thought, instead of picking up the phone and calling people, because he didn't want to do this. A lot of people don't do this. You can walk around this office right now, and I guarantee there's people in here who are not calling their sphere. So what he thought is he could find the easy button. So he signed up for leads through Zillow. $3,000 a month later, he got nothing. No closings. There is no easy button, unfortunately. And what happens is people skip the prospecting piece and they go straight to this. And they immediately start investing money in their marketing. And I teach a class every quarter, like financial agent financials. And the problem is you can base it on the MREA, is that you have to lead with revenue. So when you're first getting into this industry, you can't just outside of your getting your license and your MLS access, outside of that, you really should not be spending any money on any of this until you have a transaction. Because people jump to this first and they forget about this. And like the book said, your top agents in this industry, and Brian's one of the top agents in our office, 90% of their leads come from here. Okay. This is, so again, it goes back to that triangle we were talking about, where you have your prospecting at the bottom. That gives you your base. If you flip this upside down, you have your marketing at the top, it becomes top heavy. It's not sustainable. So you start here with your prospecting. Okay. Then after you're really hitting this at a high level, you're going to generate leads through here. You're going to generate potential income through these leads. Then you reinvest this money into the marketing piece, which just enhances your prospecting, right? So this is the idea of leading with revenue. So you generate leads through prospecting, you nurture those leads, then eventually you'll get one through the pipeline, you'll get income, and then you can reinvest into marketing to enhance your prospecting. Make sense? Yeah. You can see how people get screwed over there. Because this is shiny and easy button. It doesn't work though. Okay. All right, so prospecting plus marketing. So there are sources that use both prospecting and marketing. So an example would be open houses. You know, so if you host an open house, there's going to be some marketing that goes along with doing an open house. Okay. Door knocking would be a part of the prospecting piece, but you may want to do, if you're hosting an open house, some social media marketing where you can purchase like through Facebook ads, advertising your open house. But again, we don't really want to tie marketing and prospecting yet when it costs money at this point in your real estate career. We want to really focus on the prospecting, but as we generate income, then we can expand, and that's going to be reinvesting into our business. Door knocking is great when you're doing an open house. Make the neighborhood aware of an open house, invite neighbors to the open house, meet you, see an active listing in the neighborhood, and that doesn't cost any money. Okay, but this is a fun picture right here. You know, farming, geographic, demographic. So farming an area can involve, you know, farming an area, prospecting. can involve sending out flyers. That's part of the marketing piece. You have events, open houses, seminars, contests, client appreciation events. So that's prospecting, but you're also going to need a little bit of money to invest in marketing for your open houses, marketing for your seminars. But what's great is that you can, there's ways you can look at your marketing to enhance your prospecting that doesn't cost you money. And this goes back to making partnerships with a lender. You could co-brand your home buyer seminar. You could co-brand that and they could possibly pay for print materials, which would be the marketing piece. But your prospecting would be getting people in here for a first-time home buyer seminar. So there is a little bit of expenses that go along with these ideas. Okay. All right, gold mine for referrals. Sure.
So what expenses will come with the
Printing materials that go inside.
Okay.
Again, so like to host an open house, generally you can do it without with low overhead. But you host an open house, expense wise could be, it's 5 bottles of water. Like,
Okay.
there's some like little expenses that go along with it. But, open house, like doing Facebook ads to promote the open house would cost money. If you're doing any kind of canvassing where you're going around the neighborhood, you might, again, it has really to do with like print materials and the main overhead expenses. Any other questions before I move on? Okay. All right, so we're talking about gold mine of referrals. So let's get into the gold mine of referrals. Many agents miss out on referrals, and yet they can be an easy and lucrative source of leads. Imagine if leads simply came to you as referrals from your sphere of friends, family, coworkers, neighbors. So we'll talk about different types of referrals and systems to put into place to make the most of referrals. We're going to look at client referrals, agent to agent referrals, worldwide referrals, and business to business referrals. All right, so we're going to start with client referrals first. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, top agents rely on their sphere and clients as their greatest source of referrals. Some agents even say 90% of their business comes from referrals. It begins with setting the expectation with your sphere that your business runs on referrals and that you trust them to provide referrals of people they know who have a real estate need. That's it, right? Not exactly. Yes, you set the expectation, then provide value. You must be deserving of a referral. That is, you must be referable. The relationship with your sphere and clients is meant to be reciprocal. You provide value. They trust you. They know the value you provide. They refer their friends and family to you. The value exchange never stops. Okay, so just to touch on what Brian was just saying, what are some ways you can provide value based on the 3 listed on the slide? Okay, so part of your value proposition is, a way for you to provide value is you can provide your clients with the KW app. So when we did orientation, you download those 2 apps. The red app with the white letters is the command app, but the white app with the red letters is where your clients can search for properties utilizing that app. So that's a tool that you're providing to them. You can share with them market statistics. You can provide a vendor list. So let's go granular with the provide vendor list. Brian is a real estate man. So real estate is not just buying or selling. His clients trust that he knows people in this industry. So they're going to call him if they need a roofing need. They're going to call him for a plumber referral. He has built this whole packet of people in those fields, expertise, that he can then refer him to. So he has a trusted plumber. He has a trusted electrician. He's the guy that everyone goes to in his sphere. They know to go to him. They call Brian. Oh, Brian Jackson knows somebody. Brian Jackson knows somebody. Okay. Being a problem solver, providing elevated service, be caring and supportive. Be the realtor of choice. Okay. You're not just the realtor, you're the real estate guy, girl, gal, whatever you want to say. Getting referrals does not mean asking for them, not just one time, every time you connect. So back to what we were saying, when you have those conversations, constantly ask them because you're training that person after the second time, after the third time. They're going to already know that you're going to ask that question. They need to understand that your business is about referrals. When would be the best time to ask for a referral? Yep. So whenever there's a moment when a client expresses gratitude or they're happy or excited. So when you're in that moment of emotion, that positive emotion, you know, maybe you took someone out on a few showings, they're excited, they're loving it, you get a contract under something under contract. That is the moment you ask for a referral. Maybe you had a conversation with somebody, you know, who thought that they may not be able to buy a home. Maybe you sat them down with a lender. They still have ways to go. Maybe they need to build their credit up. Maybe they're, you know, a few things that they need to take care of before they can actively buy. Maybe there's some debts that they need to close out, but you've helped them build that path to get to that point. That's that emotion. That's when you ask for the referral because they're a raving fan. They're excited with what you provided to them. That's when you ask for that referral. Okay. And then at the consultation contract, and of course, at the close of the transaction, when the client is the happiest, you close a transaction, that person, that sphere of influence right here, when you have a client that you've closed a deal with, that person almost supersedes the sphere of influence. That's going to be your most important client, your sphere of influence, because they can advocate for services that you've provided because they've had that experience with you. And that those are the ones, your clients that you've already had a closed transaction with, those are the ones, they're great.
And also, I just thought about it, they'll become more ready.
Yes. Well, and that's what Brian even said, is that you do what you're going to tell them that you're going to do. So you have someone in your sphere that recommends somebody, that person, that referral has a great experience with you, they're going to recommend another one. And then because that client had a great experience with you, they're going to refer you someone. So it snowballs, right? Ask for referrals, reward referrals, thank you with handwritten note. Anytime your client gives you a referral, definitely thank them. Okay. So here are some sample conversation starters in your participation guide. So my goal at the end of the transaction is for you to be so thrilled, you'll tell everyone about me. Who do you know that would like an experience like you've had? So these are people you're creating or have given value to. If I have provided a stellar experience, it would be the greatest gift if you refer me to friends, family, and coworkers so I may provide them the same experience. Whenever you receive a referral, whether that referral turns into business or not, it's important to reward the behavior of providing a referral. This can be as simple as a gift card for coffee, treat the referral source even better than the referral. I would, you know, you don't have to do it right now, but those little $5 Starbucks gift cards, you can buy like a pack of them. You can get like 20 of them or whatnot. I get them all the time just from agents who thank me for just doing something for them. You have them buy some stock thank you cards, and you just make sure like that handwritten note is it has so much more meaning than an email or what, just that handwritten note, little gift card. Thank them. You know, we do client events throughout the year. One of them we do is it's Pie Day. So you can buy a bunch of pies and well, Pie Day itself, yeah, 3.14, yeah, tomorrow. But we do it around Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And so what we do is a big Pie Day. People will Agents will pre-order X amount of pies. We'll take care of picking them up and having them here. And then they go around and they deliver them to their raving fans, their top sphere of their influence, their VIPs is what you call them. And they just thank them because those are, you know, that $6 pie is a Costco pie. It's huge. That $6 investment goes a long way in just hand delivering it. It's, yeah, it's the time. Absolutely. All right, agent to agent referrals. So client referrals can come from agents as well. You already know some agents in your market center and in this class. And you'll meet agents from other brokerages while conducting business. You may wonder why an agent would refer a buyer or seller to you. Why might be a reason for an agent to refer a lead to you? Service, yeah. Maybe it's in a part of town that they're not familiar with, you know, so it's important to, you know, whatever kind of part of Cincinnati that you're really going to focus on, that people know you're the realtor of choice over there. Okay. Yeah. So some agents just can't handle the amount of business. You know, agent to agent referrals, connecting with other real estate agents outside of Ohio, and people do move here. And you can connect to those agents when you're going through your database. Going through your database and finding people that you know live in other cities, and then trying to, through command, you can connect to other agents in other offices throughout KW, throughout the United States. Start making those strategic alliances throughout the US. People do move to Cincinnati, believe it or not. And the reality is people move away. So if you're sending, you know, if you're connecting with agents in other cities, you know, and sending them referrals, they're going to send you referrals right back. All right. You just want to stay top of mind. And creating your network, creating agent networks. So finding out those people that live outside of Ohio that are in your sphere, connecting with other agents outside of that, coming into the market center, making connections with other agents. I am constantly a matchmaker. So when I hear agents talk about their needs in regard to real estate, and we have this whole I need from team meeting the other day. You know, when we're like, I'm looking at here right now, like Brian is looking for Madeira, Indian Hill, 3-car garage for one of his buyers. Well, after this class, I'm going to walk up to Brian and I'm going to let him know that we have an agent who's flipping a couple houses in Indian Hill that he may not know about and that he should call them. Right. So it's just understanding and being vocal about what your clients need. And you're going to create matchmaking situations with other agents in this office. And that's part, I mean, that's a big part of the value proposition of our office is connecting with all the different agents. I know they're not in the class today, but coming on like the team meeting days and when we do like happy hours and events and stuff like that, it's really good. This just kind of pops up that referral network in command. So Peyton can kind of go over that a little bit in Command Kickstart. Worldwide referral opportunities. KW does have real estate offices around the world. If you have anyone that lives out of the United States and they're looking to buy or sell, there's a good chance that we have a KW office there, believe it or not. Okay, this next one is huge. Huge, huge, huge. Business to business referrals. I don't know why it's the last one in this list, but I feel like this is such, because I came from running a small business for 20 years with working for my father and his businesses. This is huge. Connecting with other business owners, because you yourself are a small business owner. You have a real estate business. You are an entrepreneur, okay? Connecting with other entrepreneurs and supporting their business, they're going to support your business, okay? So Lance on, one of our top agents in our office, he is huge in the Chinese community. And he goes around and he goes to all the Chinese restaurants in his neighborhood and he connects with them. He brings business cards. He asks them, hey, would it be okay if I put business cards out at the front desk here or at the hostess stand? And, but he's actually going in to connect with the owner of that company. He's not trying to generate leads through people who go to that restaurant necessarily. If he gets one, that's great. What he's doing is going in there and trying to connect with the owner of that restaurant so that he can create a relationship with him. He's going to send them business and hopes that owner of the restaurant is going to send them business. So find local, yeah. What were we talking about? Like a donut place or something? Yeah. Find those local businesses and connect with them because they run off of referrals as well. Networking with them, that gets back to that community. But it doesn't cost any money to go in and create a relationship with a small business. Hairdressers, barbers, dentists, doctors, veterinarians, accountants, financial planners, auto repair shop, handyman, plumber, gardeners, landscapers. Because here's the other thing is when you connect with these small businesses and you become the realtor of choice, your sphere is going to call you and ask you, do you know a plumber? Oh yeah, I love this small business, mom and pop, or the dad and the son, and they go out and they do all this work, and it's because you made a relationship with another business. You start becoming a matchmaker. It's not all about buying or selling real estate. It's bigger than that. And this is business to business referrals are huge. You connect with somebody that has a local, mom and pop restaurants they just don't exist anymore, right? And so, everything is big and corporate. But if you really connect at a high level with maybe someone who owns a restaurant, mom and pop restaurant, maybe you bring your client in there for dinner one time or lunch sometime. You visit and you send them, it's reciprocal. I could go over that for hours because it's my favorite one. All right, and then this is just going to kind of talk about a little bit more sources. Geographic farming, a collection of homes, neighborhood that you focus your marketing and prospecting to. This is huge. If you, again, it kind of can tie into your neighborhood, and we talked a lot about this with the database, but geographic farming is you find an area that you are going to understand what's going on in that market at a high level, and you're going to become a realtor of choice of that area. Just know other agents are doing this all throughout the city, so you're not going to be the only one. So now you have to think about how you're going to stand out. So you need to educate yourself on what's going on in that neighborhood. You need to be top of mind. Geographic farming will go into, in that area, what community events are going on. You're going to be at those community events. Maybe if you live in that area, if there's if they do city council, going to those meetings, you're involved in that area. Mm-hmm.
So I have seen in the neighborhood a property like a house sell. So few houses you see the buy and sell. But you always see like all these all of these houses with different ages. And so I see certain agencies that have more requirements.
I mean, each neighborhood's different. I mean, you'll get a neighborhood. I had this a couple weeks ago where we have an agent that was trying to get a listing in Wyoming. And in this particular part of Wyoming, he was competing against an agent at who had a stronghold on that neighborhood because they were on the city council. You know, they're well known in that area. He ended up getting the listing, and some people do. I mean, you're going to have clients that you're having conversations with, and their brand recognition. They're going to start talking about, you know, maybe that there's, you know, more of this other brokerage in the area. But that's when you really get down to your value proposition, and you explain to them, you know, how you're going to support them, and then you just, you know, that's why you'll get more listings in that area, or you'll put your sign out and you'll get more brand recognition. So, I mean, it does take work. I mean, there are other agencies that are doing the same exact tactic. You just have to keep that relationship at such a high level with the people you do meet in those areas. And then it's consistency and having and communicating your value. And then as you're more consistent, you'll get a foothold in that area. Door knocking is huge. A lot of people don't door knock anymore, especially since COVID. You know, if there's, again, open house. I was talking to Peter Chabris, so Peter, Bo, and Tara are the investors of this market center. And so I was talking with Peter about this and Bo, and, you know, the biggest thing is lead generation and calling your sphere, right? And then he said, and open houses. Open houses are such a great opportunity. I think Celeste is actually teaching an open house class today. I'll have to check. Yep, 1:00. And we're even doing a mastermind for new agents at 11. That's kind of open-ended. I'm not sure how many people will be at the 11:00, but if you can stay around for 1:00 and take that class with Celeste, that's gonna be huge. Yeah. And then just start connecting with agents in here. And have you talked to Chad yet about PC?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I would meet with him as soon as possible. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, I think missteps are wanting to make everything perfect before you move on. I'm so guilty of that. Like it's probably one of my worst attributes where I have a really hard time doing something unless it's like a system is in place and it's perfect before doing it. Sometimes you just have to start. Yeah, you just have to start doing it. So he's here today. I would grab him and set up that time. I would definitely stay for the open house class that Celeste is teaching. I think that'll be really, really good. One of the things that's a benefit with PC is that he's in tune with all the open houses and he's connecting. These top agents are coming to him like, who do you have that could run an open house for me? And then you have to put yourself out there. I would shadow an open house. So when you're talking with Celeste, ask her when her next open house is. See if you can shadow it. But that's a great way to generate leads of people who are actively looking. Yeah. So I think that'll be huge. I think that's about it on today. Let me. Hey, Kurt. Yeah. Yeah, and here's Kristen, ready to lead it. So, Kristen, have you met Erica, right? Kristen was at family reunion, and then she was out of town. So you guys might not have met yet. Picture? Well, she just onboarded a couple weeks ago. Yep.
Well, welcome.
So we just finished Ignite. And our topic was generating more leads, capture more leads.
Good one.
Yeah. So we had a lot of conversation.
Have they? Good. I like then I'll flip it around because I need a board.
Well, then you hear this. All right, well, cool. So thank you, Erica. You're good. And then stick around for this. Stick around for open houses with Celeste.
Maddie, have you met Erica?
Okay. Hey, hanging out in the bullpen.